reason why I'm running is because I believe that I can do things better. I think it's an important election. And why it's important is that Meaford's always on, the municipality of Meaford's always on this sort of cusp. It's always almost there, but not quite there yet. One of the issues that is very disturbing is that roads have not been maintained. There are unsafe roads in this municipality. And I as a citizen of this municipality are embarrassed. I'm upset that this has occurred, and I know that we have to spend more money on roads. And a target that I'm setting is 4 million. Not 800,000, not 500,000 annually, but 4 million. And that's going to be a difficult target to hit, but we're going to do it. Another reason why I'm running is because we have a business in the downtown of Meaford, and we've seen the decline that's occurred here. And we know that this municipality can be run better. And when I say cusp, I mean cusp. We're almost there. There are developers in this area who want to spend a lot of money. They want to invest in this community. And the reason is because it's undervalued. It's really inexpensive to develop here. The land prices are down, the building prices are down. To some people who have lived here for a while, they say, wow, this is exponentially great. I mean, look at the prices. But in comparison to other communities around here, this is inexpensive. And this is the time, if they have the right council, the right mayor, developers will come here and they will spend the money. And my background is in residential land development. That's what I did previous to moving here. And I don't want roadblocks or impediments to that occurring. In agriculture, it is our primary industry here. And I see time after time, we put roadblocks for those who work in agriculture in this community. And we have to change that. And we put physical roadblocks, being not maintaining the roads. That's a tremendous cost to anyone who works a farm. And farming is big business now for a lot of people. For other people, it may be agritourism as well. So there's a number of reasons. My kids grow up here. They were born here. This is where my wife and I have chosen to put down roots. And so, yes, I'm running. I'm running to be mayor because I want this community to improve, but also to embrace what exists. Fiscal circumstances right now, they're improved. People have been paying increased taxation over the last 4 years. In fact, the residential taxes have increased nearly 60% over the last 4 years. The struggle is that the money hasn't been spread out throughout the community. And so I know that there's at least $6 to $7 million in reserves. I'm also aware there's approximately $2 million that is invested in mutual funds, which I find kind of odd. I also find that this money is sitting there, but it's not being used. The last 2 years we ran operating surpluses rather. And part of those surpluses was money that was supposed to go into capital expenditures. Now we've been very good at replacing the fleet in terms of operations, but we have not been good in terms of dealing with our roads, and we have to deal with that. In terms of taxation, I see the growth of staff over the number of years as probably not necessary, and we have to address that issue. That's not an easy issue because the people who applied for those positions now live and work in the community, and their families exist here. So how I will address spending priorities, especially when it comes to staffing, is essentially when someone leaves a position, or retires, we'll look at that position as a council and decide whether it's absolutely necessary. And if it is not, that position will be closed. So financially, we're better off, but the priorities that this council has put forward are not the priorities that I want to embrace. I want to shift the priorities. I don't think spending $4.6 million in the near future into Meaford Harbour is going to benefit all the residents here. And I don't think when you're going to spend that kind of money only for beautification, is it a really good idea? Right now, the federal government offers 100% funding for dredging of the harbour. Guess what? Meaford didn't apply. Now Larry Miller has asked the citizens to write letters in saying you want the dredging done. why wouldn't we take advantage of that funding? And then we could increase the slips, and then we could increase the return, and then we'd have more money for other things. The harbour actually brings in money to the town of Meaford, and it should be shared amongst all the citizens. When I worked in land development, I tended to work with single-tier municipalities, which means that they didn't have many levels. In Meaford municipality, in Meaford, we're a lower-tier municipality, and I found that to be quite odd, in that there's a duplication of services. So Grey County, for instance, will take care of some roads. The municipality of Meaford will take care of some roads. The planning department at Grey County oversees the municipality of Meaford in terms of official plan and has input. And so does the planning department of the municipality of Meaford. So why are we doing this? It's a struggle for me to understand why this happens. I know it's part of the past and history. And regional government is an issue that we probably will embrace. I don't know if the public is there yet in the municipality of Meaford. I know that in terms of industrial heartland, makes sense. Owen Sound has the infrastructure. It has it actually has the physical plants, and they're sitting empty. We need to get those running again. In terms of decision making, I think some people fear the idea that decision making may be made even more removed. But I look at the library system and I say, why wouldn't we have an integrated library system? Why are we contributing to only the municipality of Meaford or to the Owen Sound Library? Right now we have mutual aid agreements with Thornbury on library services. We did have mutual aid agreements in fire previously. Certainly with the OPP, because they surround a number of communities, it's mutual aid. In terms of Owen Sound, we've tried to have mutual aid in the fire department. I know there's a candidate by the name of Steve Nichols who's running, and that's what he'll be pressing for. And he was a former fire chief here. So I will be supporting that endeavor. And it's the same thing with Georgian Bluffs. So regional government is something that essentially I think we have to embrace eventually. We can't force the public into a situation they're not comfortable with at this time. The agro-tourism business is a very new business in this area, and we've been quite successful. I know of a new winery that wants to open up. So we have to make sure that there's no impediments to that particular industry set up. The province has come up with some new legislation which allows for the intensification of certain sectors in special ag lands, special agricultural lands. So right now, special agricultural lands, if you're in the apple industry, for instance, they're too large. People can now grow this and have a greater number of produce on a smaller portion, and they can actually live there as well. So you can actually be a successful apple orchard now on 4 to 6 acres. You don't need the large size acres. Now the people who want to get out of that business, they can't sell their lands. So I would support further subdivision of those lands as long as it's retained in agriculture for those type of things like apples, grapes, these kind of things that can actually be growing. The reason why I mention those is because the province special new legislation allows for vending of those processed products right there, and that is exceptional. And so we have a number of breweries now. We have at least one winery, have another winery just on our border, and we're about to have a new winery. That is that there is a potential for the high school here to be closed. This would be the only high school in the area. It also services Kimberley. It also services other areas in Blue Mountains. I have spoken with a number of people who are in the development business, and they say it's fundamental that we keep that school open. So they're willing to make donations and contributions to make GBSS a school where enrollment will increase. And And I think that is a critical element in terms of continuing to make Meaford family friendly.